Women educators are natural givers, pouring into their students, their families, and communities. But what about pouring into you? This is the Educator Sanctuary, where we help you ditch the guilt and unapologetically put yourself at the top of your list. I'm Dr. Leah, educator, mindset coach, and your guide to creating a life where you align with your purpose and reclaim your power. So if you're ready to set boundaries and step fully into the woman you're meant to be, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey, and welcome to the Educator Sanctuary, where we have big conversations, mindset shifts, personal growth, and all the things that help you live more intentionally. Today, I want to talk to you about goals. Not just setting them, not thinking about them, but what it really takes to get to them, especially when life throws obstacles in your way. Sometimes we think reaching a goal is all about the plan, but a lot of times, at least what I've learned lately, is that it is how we show up, how flexible we are, and how disciplined we stay when things don't go the way we imagine. It is so easy to think about goals like this straight line. All I have to do is set the goal, do the work, and get the result. But the truth is, the path to your goal is almost never straight. It is full of detours, closed doors, unexpected no's, and sometimes people who support you at first and then disappear. And that's okay. That is part of the journey. Goals are actually about growth, but they are also about resilience, patience, and trust. Trusting in you. Sometimes reaching a goal isn't about forcing every piece into place like we like to do. It isn't about getting it right now like we like to have it. Sometimes it's about learning to pivot and trusting you'll still get there, even if your path changes. Of course, you all know that I love to give personal stories. I don't know why I like making myself the example, but it has been a really fun ride being open and transparent and letting people know that sometimes I make things look easier than they are. So this time last year, I was literally crying in my car. And I don't mean a few tears here, full blown screaming, crying, crash out, banging on my steering wheel and asking God what was going on. All because I could not find a location to host my micro school. I had found several potential spaces and I talked to enthusiastic people, but as soon as I sent them the very specific details about who I was, what is my program info, my personal contact, my website, they ghosted me. No calls, no emails, literally nothing. Now, the first couple of times it was like, okay, maybe they got busy or whatever. But by like the sixth or seventh time, it was literally like an alarm bell. I'm like, this has happened more times than I could count. I was feeling so discouraged. I was ready to give up and wondering if I had misread the situation. Was something wrong with my program? Was something wrong with me? One of the last places that I tried seemed super promising. I spoke to the lady. She was so nice. She informed me that she had a co-partner, but typically her co-partner will go along with whatever it is that she's wanting. And she thought this was great. This was good for the community. She even said that we have to help each other in this space of, homeschooling. And she told me that she would get back to me in a couple of days. She asked me to send her my website information, the program information, and everything. And I did all of that. So imagine my frustration when I was ghosted yet again. I could not understand why this was happening. So one day after gymnastics, I happened to be driving through that neighborhood. I decided to GPS the location and go and meet the people in person. When I met the lady in person, she was gaslighting me. In the beginning, she was acting like she didn't know who I was. But then when she realized who I really was, she started gaslighting me about the location and the space. And one thing about me is, if I can tell you don't want me to be there, I wasn't going to press the issue. I just wanted to have a full understanding of what happened and why it happened. But after I left that place, I was so frustrated. I went straight to my car and I had a full on crash out in the parking lot. This is where I was screaming, crying, and asking God, why did he even have me here? What exactly was his plan? Because the micro school was his idea, not mine. And yet, in the middle of all of that hopelessness and helplessness, I cried, I wiped my eyes, I started my car, I drove home, and I made a decision. I'm still going to have my micro school. It might not look like what I expected, but I'm just going to pivot and do something different. When I got home that night, I barely slept. I sat up almost all night and researched how to start an online school. I started to think maybe a brick and mortar was not for me. It wouldn't be my path. And so I spent the night and the next weeks creating an online school, letting go of perfection, and just focusing on getting to the goal, which was having my micro school. And then it happened. A couple of days later, I was Hey, Educator Sanctuary listeners. Are you a homeschooling mom or thinking about it, but feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or maybe unsure how to confidently guide your child's learning journey? Maybe you're craving time for self-care, rest, or just a break, but you feel like you're doing it all on your own without anyone to turn to for help. Let me introduce you to Purpose Prep Academy, an online and in-person STEAM micro school for learners in grades K-8. Purpose Prep Academy isn't just any school. It's a space where young minds are nurtured, empowered, and taught to lead with confidence, curiosity, and purpose. Purpose Prep Academy focuses on providing students with the academic tools they need while fostering personal growth to help them thrive both inside and outside the classroom. At Purpose Prep Academy, they offer personalized learning, foster critical thinking, and provide real-world applications to help students become 21st century leaders and change makers. If you're looking for a program that can help you reclaim your time, give you peace of mind, or simply give your child a space to thrive, Purpose Prep Academy could be exactly what you've been looking for. Want to learn more? Visit purposeprepacademy.org to schedule a virtual meeting or an experience day and find out if Purpose Prep Academy is the right fit for your family. Driving past another place that I never thought would work, and I felt a nudge. Go inside. Go inside and ask them if they have a space for you. I was so discouraged though because I was already expecting a no. But I went inside anyway because I have been learning to follow my first mind. I went in, I talked to the young lady that was managing the place, and she said yes. I didn't even have to do as much work as I did with all the other people. She immediately said yes. She was so supportive. She was so flexible. And the agreement that we made for me renting the place was perfect. Now here we are a year later, and the micro school is in fact in a location and it is thriving. People have traveled as much as 5 hours to experience our micro school, to enroll their learners. There's organizations reaching out to us to partner with us. God has continued to guide expansion opportunities our way. I'm so excited because I have this new virtual space that's opening up, which will be an after school club where kids will be able to come in a safe and organized environment to play games, to dance, and go through escape challenges, science labs, coding. It is going to be amazing. And I would not have pictured this a year ago. If I had literally stayed stuck on forcing my plan and my vision the way that I envision it in my mind, I would not have found a better option, and I would not be sitting here a year later, fully in operation with a staff of 4, not including me, and continuing to provide expansion opportunities. I could not have pictured this in a million years, but I am so grateful. What that entire experience taught me is goals are not just about execution. They're about your mindset. You really do have to stay disciplined, but what most people get incorrect is most people are not adaptable. One thing I would have always kept in mind over the years is something that I learned when I was working at the one corporate America position I ever had. But they taught me that nothing is constant except change. Y'all, we used to be at this job, no lie, and it could just be a random Thursday, and they would be like, okay, everybody, we're moving from floor 3 to floor 9 for literally no reason, but they wanted to keep us in a state of constant change so that we could grow into being adaptable people, knowing that you don't know what tomorrow brings, but you just go with the flow. You do not let change mess up your vibe. You do not let it throw you off of reaching your goals. You still have work to do. You're just going to do it in a different environment or in a different way, maybe with different people. So when doors close, it never means that the goal is not yours. It simply means it's a different path, and it's most likely one that you can't see yet. This situation also taught me about trusting the process instead of trying to force it. I really did have to learn to let go of expectations that I set, expectations that other people might have had for me, expectations of people who I thought would be there to help me. And I had to keep my focus on the bigger picture and the bigger being. That's what separates the people who reach their goals from the people who gives up when it gets hard. Sometimes the journey will make you cry in a car. It will make you crash out. But that's okay. That is the breaking point, literally before the breakthrough. If my memory serves me correctly, this was not my only crash out that was the breakthrough. I know that there were many more, but I really do have one more distinct situation. And this is when I was caught in the trap of working and getting a job and thinking that that was the only path. But I was laid off from a school district. I got pink slipped this one year that pink slips were really popular. And because I wasn't tenured, I got laid off. I was so upset about that entire situation that I just remember driving home one day and I just could not understand how I got one of the most secure jobs in America and I still got laid off. And I'm always going to pat myself on the back and think very highly of me because I am a great worker. I work really hard. I am so creative. I think out of the box. I'm going to do more than what is asked of me. I literally don't want anybody to have to say, she wasn't good enough, or she didn't do her job, or anything mediocre about me. I don't play about me. So I just could not understand how I was laid off and I was having a hard time getting a new position. So I'm in my car. I'm literally driving home. This is a Saturday. You all, businesses are closed on Saturdays. I had a full crash out in my car and I said, I deserve XYZ. And I was banging on my steering wheel and I was crying. And I'm pretty sure if anybody was driving next to me, they was like, what is wrong with that girl? They probably thought somebody broke up with me, but it was about my money. And I got home. And as soon as I walked in my door, I had not been at home for not even 5 minutes, and my phone rang. And when I looked down at the number, I saw the prefix and I said, this is the prefix of a particular school district. I'm really good with numbers. And I said, but why would my phone be ringing on a Saturday from a school that doesn't make sense? But something told me to pick up the phone, and I did. And it was a principal of a school. And he said, we were looking for someone. Our school starts on Monday. And I'm so sorry for calling you at I think he said 11th hour. But it's an emergency and your qualifications came across my desk. So I thought I could give you a call. Do you have time for an interview now? And the rest was history. I had the job, obviously. But that is just another example of the breaking point before the breakthrough. Now, I'm not by any way, shape, fashion, or form telling you all that you all need to have these full crash out moments. That has just helped me, okay? But do what you need to do. And say what you need to say and get it all out so that you can focus and declare what you deserve and you can get that. So back to sometimes the journey would make you cry in a car or just crash out anywhere. As a matter of fact, all of my crash outs have been in my car. This is really funny. But okay, so here is the homework for the week, because if this is your first time listening to the podcast, I absolutely do not have a word for you without some type of action steps for you to be able to execute. So this week, I would love for you to do 3 things. 1, write down one goal that matters deeply to you. This non-negotiable goal. What is something that you have promised yourself that you were going to do? What is the vision that God has given you? What is it that you are regretting that you haven't done already? What is that deep goal? Then list any obstacles then or now that you have faced, or what are the obstacles that you anticipate? So basically, think about that one thing that you haven't done. It's your passionate thing to do, the goal that you really want to do that you haven't done, and what or who have been the obstacles. And then 3, write down one pivot or alternative path that will still get you to the goal, even though your plan A didn't work or isn't working if you're in the middle of something. Always remember that the goal is still the same, but your path might change, and that's okay. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with a friend who's struggling with the goal or who is feeling stuck. Please leave a review. I always ask for these, and I don't know. Are you guys listening to this in your car? You don't have time to leave the review, and then you get to work, and so now you're working, you forgot to leave the review, and you remembered, but now you got to cook dinner and do everything. I'm going to need you all to replay this back, okay, when you are sitting in the bathroom, minding your business, and you have time to click over and leave a review. Also, subscribe, share it on social media. It literally might be the nudge that someone needs to keep going. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Thank you for trusting the process. Thank you for adapting when you need to. And always remember, don't stop moving toward what you're meant to do. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Thank you for joining me in the Educator Sanctuary, where we create a space for women educators to reclaim their power and prioritize themselves unapologetically. If you've loved what you've heard, please do not forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other amazing women who need to hear this message. Until next time, remember, you are capable, you are powerful, and you are absolutely worthy. You've got this. Talk soon.